God Emperor, Doom from Secret Wars. The most likely and most terrifying Doom variant the MCU could introduce is God Emperor Doom from the 2015 Secret Wars event, a version of Victor Von Doom who didn't just win, he became a literal god and ruled over all reality for 8 years. When the multiverse collapsed during the Incursion Crisis and every universe was destroyed, Doom stole the power of the Beyonders, beings who existed beyond reality itself and who were responsible for destroying the multiverse. And with that stolen cosmic power, he created Battleworld, a patchwork planet assembled from fragments of dead universes where he ruled as absolute deity with the ability to reshape reality through thought alone. This wasn't metaphorical godhood or advanced technology disguised as divinity. Doom actually possessed omnipotence within his domain, able to rewrite physics, resurrect the dead, and unmake anyone who opposed him with a gesture, and he used this power to position himself as both savior and tyrant, saving remnants of destroyed universes, but only on the condition that they worship him eternally. Battleworld was divided into domains ruled by barons who served Doom, policed by the Thor Corps, made up of alternate reality Thors wielding Mjolnir, and monitored by Sheriff Strange, a version of Doctor Strange who acted as Doom's enforcer, investigating threats to the Empire. What made God Emperor Doom particularly dangerous was his twisted philosophy. He genuinely believed he deserved godhood, because only he had the will to make the impossible choices necessary to save reality. And when Reed Richards challenged him during Secret Wars, Doom admitted he could have created a better world, but his ego demanded worship over optimization, revealing that, even with omnipotence, he remained fundamentally flawed. The MCU's introduction of incursions in Multiverse of Madness and the multiverse collapsing in Loki Season 2 sets up the perfect scenario for this version of Doom, Robert Downey Jr. Playing a villainous god who saved the multiverse but enslaved it in the process creates immediate dramatic weight, because audiences will see Tony Stark's face on a being who represents everything Iron Man fought against, and the Avengers would face an enemy who can rewrite reality itself while genuinely believing he's the hero of his own story. If the MCU uses God Emperor Doom, Avengers Doomsday would escalate beyond anything we've seen, because the Avengers wouldn't be fighting a villain trying to destroy the world, they'd be fighting a god who already saved it and now rules it absolutely. By the way, if you like MCU theory content and analysis of what we might see in upcoming films, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thank you very much. Infamous Iron Man, Doom as reformed hero. After Secret Wars in the comics, Victor Von Doom attempted something unprecedented for a supervillain, genuine redemption. And he did it by literally taking Tony Stark's place as Iron Man, wearing the armor and trying to prove he could be a hero. This version of Doom called himself Infamous Iron Man and operated alongside heroes like Riri Williams, while struggling with whether someone with his history of conquest and murder could ever truly change, or if he was just finding new ways to feed his ego. What made Infamous Iron Man fascinating wasn't that Doom suddenly became good, it's that he brought all his authoritarian instincts and superiority complex into heroism, still believing he was better than everyone, including the heroes he worked with, still manipulating situations to prove his methods were superior, still viewing himself as the only one capable of making the hard decisions, but directing those impulses toward protecting people rather than conquering them. The redemption was always questionable because Doom's core personality remained unchanged. He was arrogant, controlling, and convinced of his own supremacy. He just channeled those traits into crime fighting instead of world domination, raising the uncomfortable question of whether changing your actions without changing your nature constitutes real redemption or just finding a new outlet for the same pathological need for control and validation. The MCU could use this variant to create moral complexity around Robert Downey Jr.'s casting. Imagine a version of Doom who sounds like Tony Stark, uses technology like Tony Stark, even fights alongside the Avengers like Tony Stark, but does so with Doom's twisted philosophy and superiority complex, forcing the heroes to question whether they can trust someone who claims to have reformed, but whose every action suggests he's just playing a longer game. Infamous Iron Man Doom would let the MCU explore whether redemption is possible for someone fundamentally broken, whether good actions performed for ego-driven reasons still count as heroism, and whether the Avengers can accept help from someone wearing their dead friend's armor while embodying everything that friend opposed. This variant works perfectly for a film called Doomsday because it plays with the idea that Doom might come not from an obvious villain, but from a supposed ally whose methods and motivations corrupt heroism from within. Dr. Doom 2099, Cyberpunk Dictator. In Marvel's 2099 timeline, Dr. Doom returned after being lost in time and immediately seized control of a fractured America that had collapsed into corporate oligarchy, overthrowing the megacorporations and declaring himself president in a future where traditional government had dissolved completely. This version of Doom ruled through technological supremacy and authoritarian efficiency, implementing surveillance capitalism turned into actual dictatorship, where every citizen was chipped, tracked and monitored by AI systems that predicted and prevented crime before it happened, creating a society where stability and order came at the cost of privacy and freedom. What made Doom 2099 effective as a ruler was that he genuinely improved people's lives. Compared to the corporate dystopia that preceded him, he ended poverty through resource redistribution, stopped gang violence through omnipresent surveillance, and restored infrastructure that corporations had allowed to decay, which meant citizens accepted his authoritarianism because the alternative had been worse, proving that people will trade freedom for security if conditions get desperate enough. The cyberpunk aesthetic and technological focus of Doom 2099 would translate perfectly to the MCU's increasing emphasis on AI, surveillance, and corporate power. Imagine a future timeline where Tony Stark's technology has evolved into dystopian control systems, and Doom uses those same tools to build a functional but oppressive society, creating a version of the character who represents both technological progress and its darkest applications. The MCU could use this variant to explore themes already present in Age of Ultron and Civil War about the dangers of AI-driven peacekeeping and surveillance states, showing what happens when someone with Doom's intelligence and lack of moral restraint gets access to Stark-level technology without any of Stark's guilt or hesitation about using it for control. Doom 2099 also allows for time travel storytelling, where the Avengers might have to travel to a future where Doom already won and built a stable authoritarian regime, forcing them to decide whether overthrowing a dictator is worth the chaos that might follow, especially if that dictator has genuinely made life better for billions of people, even if he did it by removing their freedom. Sorcerer Supreme Doom, master of magic and science. In various what-if storylines, Dr. Doom has defeated Doctor Strange and claimed the title of Sorcerer Supreme, becoming Earth's master of mystic arts while retaining his scientific genius, creating a version of the character who wields both magic and technology at their highest levels simultaneously. This Doom didn't just learn Strange's spells, he rewrote the fundamental rules of magic to serve his purposes, conquered dark dimensions and enslaved their rulers, absorbed entities like Dormammu and Shumagorath into his power base, and redefined what it means to be Sorcerer Supreme by rejecting the philosophy of balance and service in favor of domination and control. Where Stephen Strange protects Earth by maintaining cosmic balance and making bargains with mystical forces, Sorcerer Supreme Doom takes what he wants by force and refuses to acknowledge any authority higher than his own, treating gods and demons as resources to be exploited rather than powers to be respected, which destabilizes magic's fundamental structure and threatens reality itself. The MCU has established both advanced technology through Stark and Wakanda and sophisticated magic through Strange and Wanda, but hasn't yet shown a villain who masters both simultaneously. And Doom is the perfect character to combine these power systems because his origin already blends science and sorcery, with his armor being technological masterpiece enhanced by mystical enchantments. Introducing Sorcerer Supreme Doom would give the MCU a villain who can counter both technological heroes like Iron Man's successor and magical heroes like Strange or Wanda, someone who can't be defeated by hacking his tech because magic protects it, and can't be defeated by magical attacks because his technology disrupts or absorbs them, creating an enemy who requires the Avengers to combine their scientific and mystical resources in ways they never have before. This variant also allows exploration of what happens when someone with Doom's ego and ambition gets access to cosmic-level magic. The Sorcerer Supreme is supposed to be Earth's guardian against mystical threats, but Doom in that role becomes Earth's greatest mystical threat because he weaponizes everything he touches and recognizes no cosmic law or moral limitation. Council of Doom's multiversal variant alliance. Across the multiverse, infinite versions of Victor Von Doom exist, and the Council of Dooms represents the terrifying possibility that unlike the Council of Kangs, which constantly fights itself for supremacy, multiple Dooms might actually cooperate because each one understands the others perfectly and recognizes that collaboration serves their mutual interest better than competition. This isn't just multiple Dooms in the same room, it's a coordinated network of variants sharing resources, technology, and information across dimensional barriers, where one Doom has mastered time travel, another has perfected genetic engineering, another controls cosmic-level magic, and together they become exponentially more dangerous than any individual version. The Council operates on the principle that every Doom believes he is the superior Doom and the others are useful resources, which paradoxically allows cooperation because each thinks he's manipulating the others while actually being part of a genuinely collaborative effort, their shared ego creating a strange form of unity based on mutual recognition of excellence. What makes the Council nightmarish is that every victory against any single Doom feeds information to all other Dooms across dimensions, meaning the heroes are training their enemy by fighting him, teaching infinite variants simultaneously what doesn't work and allowing them to adapt collectively, turning every battle into research data for a multiverse-spanning intelligence. The MCU could use the Council of Dooms to explain why Robert Downey Jr. is playing the character. Perhaps Tony Stark became Doctor Doom in one universe, and his variant joined or leads the Council. Or perhaps the Council specifically recruits Dooms who resemble Tony Stark, because that face gives them psychological leverage against Avengers who see their dead friend in their enemy. A Council storyline would also justify bringing back other actors in villainous roles, showing variants of familiar heroes who became Doom in their timelines, creating an army of evil versions that the Avengers must fight while processing the horror of seeing alternate versions of people they loved twisted into tyrants. The Council of Dooms works for Avengers Doomsday because it delivers on the multiversal threat that's been building since Loki, providing an enemy that can match the scope of Kang, but with the added weight of Robert Downey Jr.'s presence. Victor Von Doom Prime, the original architect. Sometimes the most dangerous variant is the original, the mainline Doctor Doom, who has spent decades perfecting his conquest strategies across hundreds of attempts, learning from every defeat and treating each failure as data for future success. Creating a version of the character who isn't just powerful, but strategically unparalleled because he's optimized his approach through countless iterations. This Doom is the one who has fought the Fantastic Four dozens of times, tangled with the Avengers repeatedly, stolen cosmic powers and lost them, conquered the world and been overthrown, experienced godhood and mortality, and absorbed all of those experiences into an ever-evolving master plan that accounts for every possible counter-strategy the heroes might employ. What makes Prime Doom terrifying isn't that he has the most raw power, it's that he has the most experience and preparation. He knows how heroes think because he's fought them for years, knows their psychological weaknesses because he's studied them obsessively, knows their tactical patterns because he's survived them multiple times, and he's planned accordingly with contingencies for contingencies. The MCU could position Victor Von Doom Prime as the variant who orchestrated everything, who deliberately allowed other Doom variants to attack, first knowing the heroes would defeat them and learn the wrong lessons, who studied the Avengers across the multiverse to understand their patterns, and who engineered his emergence at the exact moment when the heroes are most vulnerable and least prepared for his specific approach. This version wouldn't announce himself with cosmic displays or multiversal armies. He'd arrive quietly, leverage existing chaos, manipulate heroes into fighting each other, and strike only when victory is inevitable, embodying the patient strategic genius that makes Doom more dangerous than villains with greater power but less intelligence. Robert Downey Jr. Playing the original Doctor Doom creates fascinating possibilities because this variant could reference Tony Stark directly, acknowledging that in this universe there was an Iron Man who saved the world and died heroically, and positioning himself as the superior version of that same archetype. The genius who isn't limited by heroic morality or guilt, who saw the same problems Tony saw but chose domination as the solution instead of sacrifice. In conclusion, the Doctor Doom variants we might see in Avengers Doomsday range from godlike to strategic, from reformed to tyrannical, from technological to mystical, each one exploring different aspects of what makes Victor Von Doom one of Marvel's greatest villains. Now to you, which Doctor Doom variant do you most want to see in the MCU? And how do you think they'll explain Robert Downey Jr. playing the character? Comment down below as you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more Marvel-obsessed videos like this.